There we go, recording in progress. And I'm going to hand you over to Miss O'Brien.
Okay, lovely. I just need to, there we go. I've agreed to it now. Hello everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. So tonight is our parent information session on PSHE, including RSE. And the main aim of this meeting is to so that you can establish what your child will be taught in their year group. Okay, so we'd like to share with you what your child will learn in PSHE and RSE. It's slightly different to a lot of other subjects in that it has got a very close homeschool link, and there's a lot of overlap between things that you might discuss at home and things that we do at school. So it's really good if we're all on the same page and we can support your children together. Okay, so PSHE stands for Personal, Social, Health and Economic Education. It's one of our curriculum subjects that every school in the country must teach. So RSE is an element of this subject, and it stands for Relationships and Sex Education. And recently there's been guidance updated to do with this part of PSHE. So last year, when we were consulting with parents, I created this infographic to just sort of show you what PSHE is and how it's split up. So PSHE is split into 3 areas: relationships, living in the wider world, and health and well-being. And the relationships and health and well-being are statutory. That means that by law, as a school, we must deliver these. Living in the wider world, we can decide as a school, based on our local data and the needs of our children, which of these areas we decide to cover. Okay, so the orange, yellow and the green, we must teach. The blue, we do teach all of these as a school, but we might focus on some in greater depth than others based on child need. Okay, so last year, thanks to the parents and carers of the pupils in our school, we developed our RSE curriculum. So that's the relationships and sex education aspect of our PSHE curriculum. Okay, and I'd just like to take this opportunity now, because I know it was quite busy last year, to thank you all, for your opinions and your support in crafting this new curriculum. We took everybody's opinions into account to make sure that our PSHE curriculum reflects the needs of our school. So thank you very much for that. So parents have always been able to withdraw their children from any non-statutory content taught at school. So for example, if you were really against, your child learning about money and their economic well-being, then by law you could withdraw them from that lesson. Okay, so some of the content that historically, as in over 2 years ago, parents could withdraw from is now statutory. So you cannot withdraw your child from that lesson or those lessons. Okay, there is still one lesson in year 6 about intercourse and conception that is non-statutory, and some parents might choose to withdraw their child from this lesson. So, and that guidance was put into place by the government from September 2020. So now we're in June 2022, let's work that out then. And this legislation is still law. We have to follow this as a school. Okay, so parents are not able to withdraw their child from any aspects of relationships education or health education. It's about learning about themselves and keeping themselves happy, healthy and safe. But parents can withdraw their child after discussing with the school from any or all aspects of sex education other than those which are part of the science curriculum up till and including 3 terms before the age of 16. So PSHE continues into high school. It's a subject taught in secondary schools as well. And this legislation applies to all of us. Okay. So if you'd like some more information as a parent, we've got these 2 websites here that are really useful, that tell you a bit more about the legal side of it and the government stance on this. So you can just type those search terms into Google, and this Get the Facts website and this relationship, sex and health education guide for parents will pop up as well. They're very informative. The one on the right is quite lengthy, so maybe get a cup of tea before you start reading, but they are quite useful documents for parents to read. Okay, so RSE. So we can split it into relationships education and sex education. Relationships covers things like building and maintaining friendships, anti-bullying, learning about families and people who care for them, showing respect, e-safety, and being safe, like the difference between appropriate and inappropriate touch. All of these aspects parents cannot withdraw their child from. That's part of our duty to keep children safe. Okay, the sex education aspect is one lesson in year 6 that if you choose to, you can withdraw your child from. So anybody who's here that's not got a child in year 6, you don't need to worry about that yet, but we can think about that nearer the time. So I just thought I'd give a bit of an overview about what happens in science and PSHE, because in this area of the curriculum, there is quite a lot of overlap. Science is statutory, so obviously children have to achieve these objectives before they finish school. So in Key Stage 1 in science, children are expected to identify, name, draw and label the basic body parts of the human body and say which part of the body is associated with each sense. And they should be able to notice that animals, including humans, have offspring which grow into adults as part of year 1 and year 2 science lessons. So in year 2 in PSHE, we take this from a slightly different stance. We start looking at the human life cycle specifically and how people grow from being young to old. We talk about how our needs and bodies change as we grow up. And we identify and name the main parts of the body, including external genitalia. Now, after consultation last year, it's decided that in year 2, we would discuss the terminology vagina, penis and testicles as part of the PSHE curriculum, and keeping your child safe by knowing what their body names, what their body parts are called with a scientific terminology. We also discuss about change as people grow up, including new opportunities and responsibilities, very important at this time of year, as we start looking at your children moving into a new year group in September with new teachers. So lots to look forward to, but it can be a scary time as well. And that's why we do this work on preparing to move to a new class and setting goals for the next year. So it's all a nice positive experience. Okay, in year 3, there's no content in year 3 that might have previously been regarded as sex education. That was following consultation. We've moved some bits and bobs to year 4. And in year 4, in PSHE, we do have a unit on growing and changing. So in this, we discuss the physical and emotional changes that a person will experience during puberty, naming external genitalia again, and personal hygiene routines and support with puberty. You know, children can begin puberty from roughly the age of 8. So it's important that they're prepared for what's going to happen to their bodies. Okay, so after this lesson, which is very factual, you know, everything that we discuss is based on science and facts. But after this lesson, the pupils will be split into groups by sex, so they have opportunity to ask any questions, because we also understand that, you know, children might not wish to ask questions in front of children that are of the opposite sex. So that's absolutely fine, and we understand that completely. And it's important they have the chance to ask these questions. And during this session, girls will also be given more information on managing menstruation. Okay, in year 5 science, in the living things and their habitats unit of work in science, and they've already done this year, children have to be able to describe the differences in the life cycles of a mammal, an amphibian, an insect and a bird. And they have to be able to describe the life process of reproduction in some plants and animals. And in their animals, including humans unit, they have to describe the changes as humans develop to old age. So puberty will be mentioned in that, because that's a significant point of change in a human's life as they develop from being young to being old. In PSHE, again, similar to year 3, there's no content in year 5 PSHE formally that has previously been regarded as sex education, but because year 5 we're catching up on year 2 and year 3 things in year 4 last year, we're having a recap of the year 4 objectives. In year 6, there's a PSHE unit on growing and changing. This is where pupils learn about human reproduction and birth, their increase in independence, for example, you know, talk about, I don't know, making their own breakfast and going on the bus to high school and all things like that, and starting to manage those transitions. In year 6, we also cover material that the PSHE Association recommended we taught in year 4. But because we consulted with parents and teaching staff and governors, we decided to move that into year 6. This is mainly covering more detail on male puberty, such as erections and nocturnal ejaculation, which some people refer to as wet dreams. This is so that when these things happen to pupils that are male, they understand what is happening to their body and they don't feel that there's something wrong or something bad happening to them. Okay, again, it's really important that our pupils feel safe, and that's, you know, the prime importance for us. Okay, oh, sorry, it's Mr. Pritchard. I saw a thing on this chat as Mr. Pritchard, sorry. Okay, now a question that popped up last time was, what about mixed age classes? You know, in our school, we've got Willow class, which is a combination of year 1 and year 2. Okay, and parents were a little worried that their year 1 child might experience lessons intended for year 2. Okay, that's not a problem, because when this happens, the year 2 pupils in Willow class will be separated from the year 1 pupils. The year 1 pupils will revisit the learn on privacy and staying safe, which they've already done in autumn 1. And they'll do some more work on recognising what makes them unique and special, feelings, and managing when things go wrong. The year 2 pupils at this point, with their class teacher, will be taught the scientific names for different parts of their body. So there won't be any crossover between year 1 and 2 in that mixed age class. So this is sort of where parents at home come in a bit more. So during all lessons, we encourage children to discuss what they've learned with their parents at home. You know, recently in my class, we've been learning about money, and it's exactly the same with that. You know, we started talking about pocket money and saving up and all those things. And I encourage them to go with their parents to the shops and talk about budgeting, same as this area of PSHE as well. You know, we strongly persuade children to talk to a trusted adult at home about these things if they've got any questions. They're obviously welcome to ask us, but you know, the parent is their first point of contact and their first, hopefully their first source of information with things like this. So there is one lesson in year 6 that some parents might choose to withdraw their child from. Okay, that is the lesson on conception. So in year 5, in science, they learn that a sperm and an egg meet in order to make a baby. In year 6, we tell them how that sperm and that egg meet. Okay, so that one lesson in year 6, parents might choose to withdraw their child from. Now, we do tell the children who are in that class that there are some children who have been withdrawn from that lesson, and please don't talk about it on the playground, but obviously we can't guarantee that. With that, there is a risk that your child, if you choose to withdraw them, might hear chat on the playground, you know, despite us telling pupils in class that they should only discuss the content within the lesson and with a trusted adult at home. So it's just bearing that in mind when you're making your informed decision, to make sure that they have an understanding from another source, for example, a trusted adult at home, so that they aren't misinformed in any way. Okay, but obviously that is your choice as a parent, and you know your child best. Okay, so we just thought we'd run through a bit of vocabulary that we will be using in school with your child. So in the early years, they should know words like male, female, and private. In year 1, it goes on to male, female, private, safe, and permission. Year 2, this is when the more scientific vocabulary starts to come in. So they learn penis, vagina, and testicles, because they're the external genitalia that children need to know the names of in order to keep them safe. Nothing in year 3. Year 4, we've got puberty, menstruation, genitalia, breast, pubic hair. When we're talking with the girls about menstruation, there might be some mention of internal female anatomy, for example, uterus. We'll talk about how periods happen, just so they can understand what's happening to their body when they menstruate. In year 5, same as year 4. And in year 6, there is vocabulary such as erection, wet dreams, testes, sperm, semen, ovaries, egg, uterus, and vulva. They were all previously in the year 3-4 curriculum. Okay, but as a school, we decided to move them to year 6 based on parents, governors, and staff views. So all of the non-highlighted vocabulary is covered by every child, by every pupil. So every pupil will hopefully know these words, you know, by the time they leave school, just like in science, geography, history. They've got terminology that they need to use. In year 6, there is one extra word, which is ejaculation. That is only in the lesson on conception, and that's a non-statutory lesson. All the other words on there is just part of the usual statutory lessons. Okay, so a question that came up quite a few times last time, understandably, is what if another child asks something inappropriate? Okay, as teachers, we're used to fending off questions, I suppose. You know, if there's a question that isn't the right time, we know exactly how to deal with that child in class, or we've got an ask it basket in the classroom that we can direct children to. I'm looking over there because mine's on on the shelf in the book corner. We also hopefully have this really strong partnership with parents. This meeting is part of that. And we promote parents as the child's primary source of information. So a response might be, oh, I can't answer that right now. Pop it in the ask it basket, or why don't you ask a parent at home? Okay. Also, if as a parent you'd like some support with how to answer your children's questions, we're more than happy to help in whichever way we can. Okay. So support that we can offer parents and carers. So as I mentioned earlier, it's the PSHE programme is taught with the core belief that a child's primary source of information comes from home. So as a school, as I just said, really, if we can support you in any way, we're always open to suggestions, and we'll always try and help out if needs be. So here's the point where you get to ask any questions or raise any concerns that you might have. If we could ask you to type them into the chat, and then we can put them on the website as FAQs afterwards. Then any parents who are unable to attend the meeting can also see the answers to your questions. That'd be really appreciated.
I'm going to start.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to start with the recording now. Okay, and then we'll get on to the questions. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien, for that.